To bulk or not to bulk? Somehow in 2022, that is still the question. Surf through the bodybuilding subreddit and you'll see this question asked 100 times. Hell, there's even a dedicated sub to it. When should you bulk and when should you cut? How fat is too fat? Why is the rash on my butt turning green? Today we'll be answering 66% of those questions, so stick around. So why is body fat such a problem when it comes to bulking? Body fat is an unavoidable side of gaining mass, and it's essential for health. But there comes a point where the muscle gains are coming so slowly. The effects of excess body fat will start to take their toll, and the steps needed to push past that weight plateau are going to start to have a significant effect on health. Body fat can affect hormones, inflammation, insulin sensitivity, all super vital things for muscle gain. Low testosterone is like depression on steroids, and you'll wish you were. Imagine being sad and moody all the time, and then not being able to self-gratify your way to a good night's sleep. Although you won't completely stop gaining muscle, the ratio of muscle to fat gain will start to have an effect on both your health and whether it's actually worth it to carry on. You're going to have to cut off such a high excess of body fat in such an aggressive style, you'll probably just lose the extra muscle anyway. There's a reason why, and this is a spoiler for my Truth About Getting Shredded video. When we lose weight, we're smaller than we think. And then we rebound out of that fat loss and we look like an off-brand Greek god. When you're in the early days of physique development, there can be just a 15-pound difference between lean and not lean. So how does our relationship with body fat change over time? When you have less muscle, a small amount of body fat can make a drastic difference to how you look. It's why they say in the early days of bulking, you're probably going to get a little bit too fat. 20% body fat on a 250-pound bodybuilder versus an 150-pound newbie is literally only 20 pounds of fat difference and 80 pounds of lean tissue. That makes for a slightly different visual. Although we may get visibly fatter in our early days, the body fat percentages are the same. The difference is the surface area. When you have more lean mass, more muscle, a larger surface area, there is a larger area for a minimally different amount of body fat to cover. So where should we set those limits to begin with? How fat is too fat to start a bulk? Technically the answer is the leaner the better, but it's not quite that simple. Getting to 5% body fat before every bulk may be a little bit shitty. You can check out my video on the reality about getting shredded after this to find out just how bad it gets. So when are we at a healthy body fat level with plenty of room to grow? In case you searched how fat is too fat for a natural guy, I'm afraid to tell you that there's no difference at all. The negative health impacts of exceeding the limitations we set in this video are going to be twofold for somebody who's enhanced, who's putting their body under that kind of stress. So my guidance will roughly be the same for both camps. So what range do we have to work within? Well, personally, I'd say that about 8% body fat is pretty much the lowest we need to take a cut, unless you're looking to hit a competitive stage. That'll help us reduce the negative impacts of low body fat on recovery and hormones, and also keep appetite at a moderately healthy level. At this point, I'd say your insulin sensitivity is pretty much peaked. There's no benefit of digging down further, and if anything, it's going to have a negative impact on you as health, recovery, sleep, stress all start to suffer, and it's going to take you a little bit of time to rebuild out of that. But let's face it, most of you won't be hitting 8% either. So for those of you looking to get a minimum pass rate on this bulk or cut exam, what's the upper limit? I can't believe I'm saying this. Swallow my pride. Mainstream fitness has got the right idea. Oh god. 12% body fat is the maximum that I'd recommend starting a bulking phase at. Can't believe I just said that. That allows for a healthy, insulin-sensitive starting point while still giving us about 10 pounds worth of muscle gain potential for a bulking phase where the upper limits we'll get to in a minute. If you leave yourself with any less room to grow, then being suboptimal in any significant way is probably going to land you back at the same weight in the same condition a year later. I hear you. Cut to the chase, Sam. Can I eat the cookies or not? What about when I'm already on a bulk? Okay. So how far can we take it during a bulking phase? What is it about today? They got it right again. As your ultimate level of body fat, where I'd say cutting is pretty much the only answer, it's going to be 20%. Now, I will say, technically in studies, this is only the starting point for when insulin sensitivity starts to significantly drop. But in my experience, that can happen a lot sooner, especially as you're pushing calories through an extended bulking period and subjecting your body to a high volume of carbs. But nevertheless, this is in studies where things start to drop off. And that's also likely going to be when your hormones and inflammation begin to be a problem. You're an 180-pound guy. You're looking at your next bulking phase. Realistically, you could squeeze 30 pounds out of that. That would be 20 pounds worth of fat gain and 10 pounds worth of lean tissue. I'd say 5 to 10 pounds is about your annual limit of muscle gain as a natural, unless you're in that beautiful newbie phase, or you're genetically gifted. So you can expect that 30 pounds to take you between 1 and 2 years, 12 and 24 months. Any significant time shorter than 12 months and you probably gained a lot more fat than you think you have. For an enhanced bodybuilder, you might be able to achieve the same kind of muscle to fat gain ratio and overall mass over a 6 to 12 month period, so about half the time. You could do it over the same time and gain less body fat and probably a little bit more muscle, but if you competed, ain't nobody got time for that. So what do you do when you reach peak bulk? Well, I'll be diving into mini cuts and whether they are necessary or helpful in an upcoming video, but the body fat percentage in which you can still execute an effective mini cut and stay within a bulking phase for a longer period of time by doing so is lower than that 20% cap. That's why I recommend if you want a long, stable bulking period, you need to start as lean as possible. 8% is best, 10% is still acceptable for an extended, long, old gaining phase. And if you hit that 20% body fat cap, it's probably time for a cut. If you want to find out how not to bulk, check out my Tristan Lee video next, and I'll see you over there.